Hi, this is Chris Orr of the Orminators, and I am here to talk about iiRcade. I was actually a part of their Kickstarter. I think it was number 768 on the backer list there, and it finally came in. We are now basically late January 2021. And a lot of folks have already kind of posted some pictures and videos of this thing over time already. So there may be actually some good reviews out there. I'm going to go ahead and do a build and review myself here. But there's also going to be partially a discussion about Kickstarter campaigns and what to expect. So, for example, again, this thing kicked off in mid-2020 as part of the during the pandemic, and it took time, let's say. Now, this particular campaign was a little confusing. Now, when I originally joined the campaign, I went for the 64 gig model, and this might have even been the 64 gig Black Edition, which was just kind of a plain box. But when they were beginning production, they gave you an opportunity to upgrade. And so I wound up upgrading to the 128 gig Dragon's Lair edition. And what that may have done was kick me a lot further down the list, even though I was in the, kind of the upper thousand, or the upper hundreds, like in the 700s, like I said. This is probably one of the last ones to get shipped. And I'm thinking maybe it was because of the fact that I made changes during the whole thing, because plenty of other folks that have higher numbers than me were able to get their machines a lot sooner than I did. And that just may be a quirk of the fact that I made changes. If I had left it at the original one that I had bought, I probably would have gotten it a lot sooner. Fortunately, and what would have really been a disappointment was if this had been on the same boat as the one that a whole bunch of arcade one-up machines went overboard, and I think maybe some at games also. So fortunately, this was not on that boat. In fact, this was one of 3 boats, right? And I think the upgraded versions, the higher gig versions, all basically had even the early backers end up waiting quite a while for it. Now, in this particular case, I got not only the bar top edition here, but I also got the stand. So I could have also maybe have gotten it quicker if I had just opted for the version that would sit up on my counter. But because I have the arcade one-ups here, and I don't really have a whole lot of counter space, I wanted to have a place to set it up. So let's go ahead and get to building this thing and see what it looks like. All right, so I have the stand unboxed, and I can already tell you that the quality of this thing is fantastic. You can see how thick the panels are, literally compared to the arcade one-up that's sitting right behind it. Now, one of the interesting things here that I think it was worth waiting for is some of the other reviewers, some of the other people who have posted theirs indicated that they had to apply the decals for the stand and onto the machine itself themselves. And there's even some tutorials out there that show how to do those things. And so I was kind of worried about it because I'm really not that great. I'm not that detail oriented for a lot of that stuff. And so I was worried that I would do it, and I'm sure it would have been fine. It might not have been perfect. This actually came already pre-applied, and you can see that the artwork is gorgeous on this. And again, when you think about the back panels on the arcade one-up, which is basically almost like 1/8 of an inch, look how thick these back panels are on these stands. So the quality of the material is astoundingly good. And you can see also, height-wise, compared to the arcade one-ups that are standing right beside it there, when the bar top itself is sitting on top of the stand here, it's going to be pretty tall. So looks like the cabinet itself is probably going to be a little bit bigger than 3/4 size from that standpoint. So once I get it built and put together, we'll go ahead and show you that difference there. So here we go. Now, one of the really cool features for this stand that, again, I haven't seen on the iiRcade 1-Ups, but I don't have any experience with any of the other models, is the adjustable feet. So if you're not blessed with a solid floor, or a level floor anyways, they give you the ability to level the thing out, right? And this is not cheap hardware. I mean, this is really heavy duty. I wish I could convey just how well built this thing is. Let's get this thing stood up and I'll give you a walk around. And here's the cabinet stood up in place, again relative to an iiRcade 1-Up, or a series of iiRcade 1-Ups there. And again, the artwork, fantastic. Don Bluth presents Dragon's Lair with Dirk. And beautiful artwork of the princess. Kind of sexy. Hope this doesn't demonetize my channel. And of course, the dragon on the other side. And again, you can see just how thick the material is. These knobs here are when you have the actual bar top on there, you can actually then lock it down on there so it doesn't slide around. And you can run the cables, the power cables and such, down through the stand there. But you can imagine that once the actual bar top is on there, and we'll get it on there in a minute, so it's not going to be that big a deal. You can see how much taller this is going to be relative to an iiRcade 1-Up. Now, one of the things that I didn't comment on as I unpacked the stand was, in general, just how well packaged this thing is for transport. So if you're thinking about buying one of these things, now that they're going into full production and this will be available to everybody, I would not worry about shipping on this thing. Everything is so perfectly packed, and even the box materials, they did not skimp out. This is not standard. I hate to keep comparing this to the iiRcade 1-Ups, because those are completely different to me now. A completely different class of machine, right? I mean, we're talking about half, if not more than 2/3 the price of an iiRcade. So I mean, it's probably not a fair comparison, but they're the only things that I have to compare to. When you buy the iiRcade 1-Ups, I mean, it's just like a standard cardboard box, relatively thin sort of packaging material, and lots of styrofoam, which is fine. You want as much styrofoam in there as possible. But ultimately, also, I mean, there's more recyclable material here, even from that standpoint, right? This is just a better showing, I think. I mean, clearly, you got to have some styrofoam. There it is. There's big chunks. There's a couple big chunks over there. But overall, this thing shipped really, really well, considering the journey it's had to make. In this case, from Korea, That's where these things are made, which is probably why they didn't go overboard when that ship from China went down and dumped a bunch of arcade one-ups into the ocean there. So let's go ahead and get this thing unpacked. This is the actual bar top itself, and you can see that's what the shape is going to be. And where the arcade one-ups, again, here they have the advantage is that the arcade one-ups, they are actually shaped like the actual machines that they're supposed to be. This is a multi-cade, so in this case, they just wanted a more modern feel. Now, granted, the artwork on this is fantastic, but yeah, let's not waste any more time and get this thing built and on top of the stand. Two things to note here. The cam lock system that they use to put these panels together is very well done. Again, this is pretty good hardware here. It doesn't feel cheap at all, and they lock in really, really tight to ensure that none of the parts, kind of work their way loose while you're moving around or whatever. So if you can build IKEA furniture, you can definitely build these cabinets. It's very, very straightforward. Almost as easy, if not easier, than even, again, the arcade one-ups. The second thing to note is the speakers for this system are fantastic. 50 watts. I mean, powerful enough that you actually need a heat sink for this thing, which to me is absolutely crazy. Now, the reason that is that apparently on the roadmap, and I don't know if it's in their app store yet, is to have a jukebox. So you would be able to connect this cabinet to Bluetooth to your phone. So this thing would actually serve as it can serve as a sort of a music machine. If you weren't actually playing a game and you just had it on and you wanted to listen to some music, you can connect your phone to it by Bluetooth and be able to stream music to it and then listen to it. So that's a really cool, again, a major, major advantage. So with the control deck in, you can see all the different interfaces that are here. The video is there. I've already got the audio plugged in up at the top there. Power supply, as well as it looks like an HDMI port there. So it looks like you can do some stuff where you might, connect it to a larger TV or maybe a computer for streaming and things like that. So again, this thing is actually very, very well built. The audio is in there. I've got that all plugged in. It's all set and ready to go. Looks like all I need to do is get the power supply plugged in. So you saw me put the feet on the bottom, and those are going to go into the 4 holes at the top of the stand, and then there are additional knobs that will go through these holes here that will again secure it to the stand, so you don't have to worry about pulling it off of the stand as you are playing your games, however violently you might wiggle your joystick, if you will. All right, so we have the cabinet, the stand built, the cabinet built. Now the whole idea here is that this fella here is going to sit up here, and there are 4 preset bolt holes, if you will, that these knobs are going to go through the bottom of the bar top and secure it into here, while the feet that are on the bar top are going to fit into these little individual holes. So it's the attention to detail on this thing, it's amazing. Jong and his crew has done a fantastic job on this. The instructions were very, very easy to follow. Didn't take me very long to build this thing. I probably literally could have just built this without doing the time lapse, but I didn't want to take up too much of your time while I'm doing this. So I'm going to set this camera back over here on the stand, and then we'll get that cabinet on there, and we'll show you what that looks like. So that's it on the stand. Gorgeous. I mean, look how well everything just matches up. How the decals line up perfectly on there. Which, if I had to do that myself, again, and I've seen people commenting about this or showing videos, and we're going to go ahead and put the knobs on there to secure it to the base, like so. And there's 4 of them here, so we're going to go ahead and get those in there. Pardon my shadow. Not that professional, so I don't have really good lighting on this thing. That's in there. And I almost put the back on it before I did that. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I want to actually have the back on here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this part. You thread that cable through there. Now you can also thread it down through the base here and come out here out the bottom. But I'm going to set it like this so that I don't have to deal with that when it comes time for, maybe if I want to actually set it on the bar top, on a counter as a bar top. That's the right one there. Yep, all right. That's screwed on then. Now, I've said this several times, or I've thought this at least several times. These cabinets, especially this one, like the arcade one-up's not so much because the screws are a little bit harder to get to. But the arcade, the iiRcade cabinet here, you can actually stash stuff in here. This would make a great hiding spot for stuff. if there was a front panel disguised as maybe the coin door, that would be kind of a cool little trick where you could stash stuff inside the cabinet. I think they make a great storage, great storage cabinet. And there you go. Let's do one final walk around here. Dragon's Lair edition cabinet, 128 gigs of storage. So the iiRcades have an app store where you can download additional games beyond the hero game here, which in this case is Dragon's Lair. And they've got lots of different games. I guess in some future videos, I'll probably start maybe doing some reviews of those so that you can see what kind of games are out there and kind of fighting games. You can see here that there's plenty of buttons that you can mash on here for different fighting games and things like that. So there's the opportunities are endless for different games. And compared to the Arcade 1-Up, you can see that the quality is very, very good. It's a bit taller by a good several inches here. And we'll go ahead and get it into place so you can see what that looks like. And there's the cabinet in place on the wall there, and you can see relative to the Arcade 1-Up countercades there's the Star Wars machine. And if you wanted to sit at this with a stool, it looks like a standard height bar top stool or bar stool would do the trick there. So this is the end of part 1 of the construction of the iiRcade machine. And in the next video, we are going to actually initialize it. There are some software updates that have to be done. It has to be connected to the Wi-Fi, and we'll be talking about that in the next video, part 2 of this video. So thank you very much for watching this far with the construction of the iiRcade Dragon's Lair Edition cabinet. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, give it a share, like and subscribe. Plenty of content on here. It's kind of all over the map, and I'd appreciate it if you want to go ahead and give it a view. And we'll talk to you in the next video, which will probably come a little bit sooner than I usually do, because there's plenty of content to be generated just from getting this thing started up. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.